Hey there, Calling Up Community. I'm Claudia Alick, and today we are going to be understanding the uses of the term abled versus disabled. And as always, I preface with reminding us that we're creating these definitions so that we can have a shared understanding of how we're using the language in order to facilitate creating increased performances of justice in the world, not to police other people's language. So please resist the urge to engage in exchanges that are about vocabulary and not about action. That said, let's talk about vocabulary. Okay, so we are going to be reviewing a bunch of terminologies, and this might be 2 videos. We're going to talk about the disability community or disabled community, what that's referring to, the medical model and the social model of disability, disability rights, disability justice, as well as using the term abled and able-bodied. And there might be a few more terminologies in there. I don't know. Let's get started. So, and I should preface this also with saying I'm already being inconsistent. I use disability community and disabled community a little interchangeably. It's sloppy. I am currently working to say disabled community more consistently. So our disabled community is not homogenous. Our community does not use the same terminology or language to identify ourselves exclusively. Some of us are disabled and don't even identify as members of a community. Some of us are transitional members of the disabled community, where there's a broken leg, the leg gets healed, and then they are back to being part of the abled community. Some of us were born into the community, and others, like myself, came into this community later in life with an acquired disability. So, the disabled community is one of the largest communities in the world, and it is an identity that is marginalized. Majority of the human beings on our planet are generally at some point a member of the disabled community or one person removed from being a member of the disabled community. How do we identify as being a part of the disabled community? Well, there are 2 ways. One is the medical model of disability. If you Google disability, chances are most of the definitions you see will be using the medical model of disability, where the medical model of disability centers the problem of access being exclusively held in the human being's body. This medical model of disability is in conversation with the medical industrial complex. Now, for most people who are disabled in the United States, we will have to engage with the medical model of disability because it is the only thing that allows us to get access to some of the things that help us to be functional in the world. So if I want to get an assistive device, like my wheelchair, or I want to get a pre-boarding for the plane, or I want to have access to the pills that help me to not have spasms. I will have to go through the medical industrial complex and receive my diagnosis, my identification, my label. So that is the medical model of disability, which, frankly, is not useful when it comes to really looking at the ways the world is disabling people. So the social model of disability, instead of looking at the body as the thing that is disabling me, because all bodies are atypical, it's looking at the world that is designed to serve certain types of bodies and make certain things accessible. So for a small example, stairs. Stairs are an assistive device to people who can't jump really high easily. Most buildings understood that the majority of human beings, if they wanted them to be able to access their buildings and they had a second floor, they would need to create something that would allow people to access that. Now, unfortunately, a lot of design choices are made to exclude certain bodies, to make those buildings inaccessible to people who have certain types of bodies. That is the social model of disability. So we're looking at this model when we're looking at meeting design, when we're looking at space accessibility, when we're looking at communications platforms and practices. So this was part 1 of this video. Please go to part 2 of the video to hear more about disability justice, as well as the use of the term abled.